Hello, friends, and welcome to blocks 7 and 8 of our mountain meditations crochet-along. I don't know why that was tough for me to say, but I'm very excited to dive into these two blocks today. One of them is extremely easy to do, and Tunisian crochet, the other standard crochet, which seems to be our regular kind of modus operandi. I think that's the term for it. Who knows? Um, but I'm excited to dive in this week, and I'm excited to show you a few new stitches that maybe you haven't tried yet. We're steadily speeding along, and we actually only have what, this is 7 and 8, 8, 9, or 9, 10. We have 2 more episodes after this. Crazy. And then we get to do our border, and we get to do seaming and blocking and all that good stuff. So I'm very, very excited. I hope you are as well. So without further ado, let's get stitching on block 7 and 8. Friends, our first block of the week is this guy here. This is our riverbed block. Now, there's a note in the pattern, and I wanted to go over that real quick before we dive in, and that is this here. So my block has quite the obvious seam, and that's because I did not fasten off my yarn after. I don't know why. I just kind of kept it. I changed color, and it just created this little bump here that I don't like. So the pattern that's listed does not have this guy here. In fact, it's just tucked into the corner. It's a little bit nicer. All right. So wanted to get that out of the way. So grab your standard crochet hook and then your green, your King's Canyon, and let's just jump in. All right. Well, I've already worked round 1 doing my magic circle and 16 double crochet into that magic circle. So I'm going to join into my first stitch with a slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3 for round 2. This is going to count as a double crochet here and throughout. Into that same stitch, I'm going to work 3 double crochet. Okay. Now, I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and then into my next stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet. Okay, skip a stitch, and into this next stitch, I'm going to work 7 double crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip a stitch, single crochet, skip a stitch, 7 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip a stitch, single crochet, skip a stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to skip a stitch, single crochet. Now we're going to skip a stitch, and into that same stitch as our beginning 4 double crochets, we're going to work 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's what you should have there. Now we're going to join to our first chain 3 with a slip stitch. So at the end of this round, you'll have 32 double crochet and 4 single crochet. On our next round, we're going to chain 3. This again counts as a double crochet. We'll double crochet into the same stitch, and then we're going to double crochet into each of the next 6 double crochet, 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Got a little knot there in the yarn, so we're going to take that out. And then when we get to this corner, what we're going to work is 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Now we're going to repeat that around. So we'll double crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then into that corner, we're going to work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around. And then when you get back to your beginning, you'll work a 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then join that to your first chain 3 stitch. And then when we come back, we're going to work our next round, which is on the wrong side. So we're going to flip that over. So go ahead and finish this and we'll come on back. All right, so on your next round, it's round 4. The pattern is going to tell you to turn your work to the wrong side if you have the original version of the pattern. If you have the updated pattern, which I'm going to send at the end of this crochet along, you're going to ignore that. We don't want to turn our work to the wrong side. What we want to do is just simply half double crochet around. So what we'll do is chain 2, and then we're going to half double crochet in each stitch across. You're going to half double crochet in each of the first 10 stitches. You'll get to your last stitch, you're going to skip that one, and then into your chain 2 space, you're going to half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. All right? So then go ahead and work a half double in each of the first 10 stitches. Get to your last stitch, skip that one, half double, chain 2, half double. So go ahead and repeat that around, and when you get to your last corner, you're going to work your half double, chain 2, half double, and you'll join it to your very first half double crochet. All right, so when you get to the end, you should have something that looks like this. You'll have your first 3 rounds of double crochet and then a round of half double. So next we're going to grab our Yosemite, which is our orangish color, and we're going to put that on our hook, and we're going to find a chain 2 space. Then we'll join and we'll chain 3. This is going to count as our first double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet in the same chain space. Working across our row, we're going to double crochet into the 3rd loop of each half double. So remember, half double crochets have a front loop, a back loop, and a 3rd loop. That 3rd loop you'll see all the way across the backs of your half doubles. So we're going to double crochet into each of those. When you get to your next corner, which is going to be right here, what we're going to do is work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Then, working in that 3rd loop, we're going to work all the way across. And it can be difficult to find the first one, but you always want to find the stitch, look to the right of it, and there it is. oops, and then just double crochet across. So you're going to do that for each of the last 3 sides. And then just like we've done before, when you get to that very first space, you'll work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then join it into the top of that 3 chain that we started with. All right, so I went ahead and worked our round 6, which is again just double crochets. So round 7 is going to be another round of our half double crochets. Now remember, we're not going to turn. We're just going to work it with the right side facing. So if your pattern does read, turn it to the wrong side, completely ignore that. So you'll work another round of half double crochets, and then you'll change your color. Then you'll work a round of double crochets into the 3rd loop. Okay. So if you need to remember how to do that, go ahead and kind of just rewatch the video. But that's what's really important is you want these nice kind of raised little stitches here. And then again, we're hiding our beginning in this corner, which is a really nice way of making sure we don't have that obvious line. So you can see here, again, you're not going to end up with this, right? So here's the sample I've worked on today, and here's that. So you can see you're not going to get that at all, right? What you'll do is you'll change your color from this dark color to Yosemite to, I think this is Bryce Canyon and Acadia. And each time you get that nice little raised ledge by working your double crochets into the 3rd loop of your half doubles. All right. Well, that's it for this block. Next, we have our Tunisian block, our log cabin block. So let's get started on that. All right, block 8 is our log cabin block. This block uses intarsia crochet, which is a really cool technique. If you haven't used it before, haven't learned it, I'm excited to teach. So essentially for this pattern, we're going to work half the square in one color and half the square in another. So I'm going to actually just chain 10 stitches so I can show you how to work the intarsia technique. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the entire square is just worked in Tunisian simple stitch. The trick comes when we change our yarn color. So you're going to chain half of your stitches for this block in your King's Canyon, which is the green color. Then you're going to grab your next color. You're not going to fasten off the first color, and you're just going to pull through. Then you're going to chain the next half. So for me, that'll be 10. So at the end, you should have half of your stitches in one color and half in another. Both of your yarns should still be connected. Now, just like any other foundation row, I'm going to work across, picking up 1 stitch for each chain. I should have the same number of stitches on my hook as I do the beginning chain number. And when I get to that very first stitch where I changed color, I'm going to go into that stitch and pick up a loop. I'm going to drop the one color and I'm going to pull up the next. I'm not going to twist my yarn. I'm simply going to insert my hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Okay? And again, same number of stitches on the hook that we have chains. So at the end of your row, you should have half of your stitches in one color, half in the other color. Next, we're going to work our return pass. So we'll chain 1, then we'll yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do that just until we need to do our color change. All right, so now we're going to do our color change, and we're going to grab our yarn, and we're not going to cross it or anything. We're going to make sure our yarns kind of play nice and stay in their own lane, and then we'll pull through 2. All right. We're going to do the same thing till we get to the beginning. And like I said, this block is worked completely in Tunisian simple stitch. So we'll start that by going into that vertical bar and picking up a loop. Now what we're going to do is when we pick up that green, we're just going to make sure that our stitch tension is nice and even in between these 2 stitches. What often ends up happening is this stitch here is too loose or it's too tight. We just want to make sure it looks pretty much the same as the other stitches. Then we're going to insert our hook and pull up a loop. We're going to repeat that all the way across. So now I've finished my forward pass. I'm going to work my return pass. So chain 1 and then pull through 2. And do that all the way across till we get to that color change. All right. We're going to grab our next color. And again, you'll see, you'll notice I kind of pulled on it so it's nice and tight around the hook. We pull through 2. All right, let's do that one more time. So we're going to work our forward pass. Going to drop my first yarn. I'm going to grab my second yarn, pull that so it's nice and even, insert my hook and pull up a loop. So now, while it's on my hook, you can see that where those stitches meet, you can often see a gap if you don't twist your yarns, which is why I was doing that. So when you are twisting, you're not twisting your yarns, you'll always end up with a little gap, no matter how even you think you're going to be, okay? So what we want to do is on this next row, we're going to work our return pass. And when we get here, we're going to grab our Acadia and we're going to bring it underneath the green. So we want in the back there to be a nice little twist, okay? So I'll show you how this happens. We go under the yarn and then we pull through 2, okay? So now we're going to work our forward pass all the way to that color change. Then what I'm going to do is, because I have my yarn already twisted here, so the white is underneath the green. You can see that, get those tails out of the way. You can see how it's twisted. I'm going to pick up my green, and what it's going to do is it's going to kind of come back and untwist our yarns. And now the green and the white are all on their own. There's no twisting. There's no frustration as you're working. All right. So let's work a return pass so I can show you that twist one more time. So we get here, again, we're going to grab our Acadia underneath, kind of just twist it there, and then finish off that return pass. Next, we'll work our forward pass. We'll get to that last stitch before our color change. Then we'll grab our green, make sure we're not tied up there, insert our hook into the next loop, and work across. So you can see the difference between the two. So our first couple rows, a little wide, and then we tighten it up just a little bit. So it really allows you to not end up having a bunch of gaps down the middle. So here is our finished piece. I'm going to take my hook out so I can show you. We started with our Acadia and our green, and you can see that I've twisted all the way up so I get a nice tight edge right there. And then all I did was I changed in the capital reef for the Acadia and finished. So this entire block is just Tunisian simple stitch. The biggest trick when you're working these is managing your yarn. It's just called yarn management. Now, if we look at the back, you can see where I twisted my yarns. Now, it is not as nice and neat down here because I wasn't paying attention and they were getting twisted and I was probably watching too much TV. But up here, when I was a little more focused, see how nice and even that is? That's what you want yours to look like as much as possible. I mean, here's reality. If this is the back, no one's going to care. No one's looking at the back. It just looks nicer when it's like this. So totally, you know, it's just a matter of preference. But this is what happens when you crochet like Rohn. And this is when you crochet like Rohn tells you to crochet. You know, two different things. All right, friends. Well, those are my two blocks for this week. Next week, we're going to be tackling this beauty here. This is such a fun, easy, quick block to stitch. And then we have our very exciting, kind of the most complicated Tunisian block, which is our spring blossom block. So this one looks a lot more complicated than it is, and it's so much fun. So much fun. Can't wait to show you guys. So until next week, happy stitching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.